What's going on, guys? Proof here. I'm bringing you another deck chronicle video. Today I'm bringing you Galaxy Blaukluger, which is one of my favorite decks that I've owned right now, and I've been waiting for this stuff to come out for the longest time. Like, once it was released in Japan, I was immediately hyped for it, and once the stuff hit in the English game, I immediately bought it up as soon as I could to get my deck completed. But let's go ahead and get started. With my starter, I chose Morganrot over Blaukluger because I enjoy the fact that it moves out of soul more so than trying to rely on getting a certain grade 1 piece into my hand. And what I really like about it is his ability, which is when an attack to your opponent's vanguard by your vanguard with Blau in its name hits, you counterblast 1 and check the top 3 for a Blau unit and put it into your hand, and then put the rest back and shuffle. It's great for getting cards into your hand. It's great for getting missing pieces, such as getting a Stern or a mod into your hand. It's great for forcing your opponent to react to you more before they're probably ready to. And it's great just for all around being a boss, pretty much. I like to put it over here to the side if I can, because I play Tough Boy in the deck, which I want to have in the Vanguard booster, because it hits great numbers with Stern and Galaxy, and for Mond if you play that in your deck. It hits 21k with Mond and Cross-Ride Galaxy. It hits 19 with the Stern, and if you go first, that's great against your opponent's Vanguard. I put out to the side here, people don't choose to do so because it doesn't make good column numbers with most things besides a Gross Bear and another Galaxy or a Mond. That doesn't really bother me all that much because I can still put another Galaxy. I have time to get another one into my hand. I don't mind it at all, and if I still put out here, still makes your opponent have to drop a 5k shield versus taking that chump attack, which is good pressure for me and bad for my opponent. As for my trigger lineup, I play 16 crit in my version of the deck. People don't like it. I love it. For me, it lets me take advantage of the fact that I have all this great Vanguard pressure going on and that forward momentum. It makes Stern, for me, even more dangerous because if they have to no guard and take the hit, it just generates even more damage for me and makes my opponent react a little bit more to what I want to do. Of course, you got to have 4 red lightning in here for emergency unflipping purposes if you need it to. Everything else is all about just generating as much forward pressure as possible to take advantage of the fact that I have a restanding Vanguard and I have rear guards that make my limit break even more threatening. I love the 16 crit in here, and that's what I've been playing with Stern ever since it was the only grade 3 that was worth having in the Blau deck. Grade 1s for Tough Boy. For me, Tough Boy is the one thing I want to have behind the Vanguard. That's why I play 4 of them to try and get in hand as soon as possible. I can have other things back there. If I put Morganrot out to the side, I at least want to have my Vanguard force at least a 10k shield or more on my opponent. But if I have a Tough Boy in my hand, it will go back here behind the Vanguard as soon as possible. Like I was saying earlier, when Stern is at 11,000, he makes a 19k column, which makes your opponent have to drop 20k shield if they're at grade 2 to try and stop you from having Stern hit. With Galaxy and Mond, it makes a 21k column, provided that Galaxy is cross-written, and it makes a decent grade 1 rider if worse comes to worse. And then I played 3 Blaukluger. The purpose of Blaukluger in here has a couple uses. One, it makes grade 2 Blaukluger 10,000, and also it allows me to discard a grade 3 and fish for a Stern, which is good because Stern is what I want to ride first in this deck. I play the cross-ride version of the deck. Stern is what I want to ride first, if at all possible. And between Blaukluger, between Morganrot, and then in terms of just getting cards and drawing, I have a very good chance of getting a Stern into my hand to ride it as grade 3 first and foremost. The reason I don't play 4 is because I play a lot of 9k grade 2s in here, and I want to have the ability to have those hit for at least 17 or 16,000 power. and because of that, these become more of a little bit more of a liability in that case. So I'll go ahead and run 3 of those versus playing 4 like some people might. 3 clay doll mechanics, good for emergency unflipping, and it's a 7,000 power booster with the abundance of 9,000 grade 2s that I have into the deck. They make Galaxy even more threatening by forcing at 16,000 power on 11k grade 3s. When it comes to cross ride, they don't help as much, but then that's why I also have 4 Tough Boy into the deck. But these come in handy for the times where I don't get grade 2 Blaukluger as my grade 2 ride, and I have Stern in my hand, but I want to fish for a card with Morganrot. It gives me the ability to unflip and then still make Stern a threat the next time, because my opponent may not think that Stern's not as much of a threat because I have that flip damage, and this proves it wrong immediately. And then in the late game, it allows me to get something, I can remove, retire something and pull it out, and then gives Galaxy a chance to go off. It's very useful. And of course, 4 Dunkelheits. I call them dunks. The Blau Perfect Guard, great thing to fish for with Morganrot. Comes in handy. Artwork is amazing. My favorite Perfect Guard by far, and there's no reason to not play 4 in here, especially with the ability to get one with Morganrot, and it makes a okay grade 1 ride if you absolutely have to. As for grade 2s, I have 4 Blaukluger in here. It's the mandatory grade 2 ride in the deck, so you definitely want to play 4 of these. It combos with Morganrot because if your Vanguard hits, you can do Morganrot first, fish for the card, and then unflip it with Blaukluger because he hit right behind it. It makes Stern 11,000. It provides more pressure with Mars if you choose to play it. It's a great all-around grade 2. I don't mind that it's vanilla outside of grade 2 ride because it still hits for numbers with a Tough Boy or a Clay Doll behind it. And playing 4 is, for me, mandatory. And 4 Jupiter Blauklugers. I play 4 Jupiter because they make a good grade 2 ride. If A, I don't have a grade 2 Blaukluger in my hand, or B, I somehow miss getting Blaupanzer to get started into my hand, I have to ride Galaxy. I can play that damage advantage game by dropping the 10k on all the archetype grade 2s that they have a 5k booster behind them, and just no pass it at 2 and then ride to Galaxy and keep on going from there. Yeah, he makes numbers with Tough Boy at 18 against cross rides. It makes 16,000 with Blaupanzer, so they're able to hit 11Ks for 10 shield or above, and it's just a really good purposeful card to have all around. And then I play 3 Mars in here. I like Mars over playing Gross Bear because it has Blaukluger in its name. And it's a pretty decent anti-rush card, because if your opponent chooses to force you to 2 or more damage really early, you can abuse that with Mars by abusing their rear guards, which A, reduces their hand, and then on top of that, it makes Stern and Galaxy in the future more likely to hit because they have less hand to continue to mount a game against you. I enjoy it. I probably wouldn't replace it with Gross Bear if I had the option to, just because it is a Blaukluger. And for me, it's 100% useful. And then as for the grade 3s, I play cross ride, so I play 4 Stern first and foremost. I like Stern. I love Stern, as a matter of fact, just because it's been the primary grade 3 for the longest time. And he makes Galaxy 13,000 power, and having those cross-ride defenses are very useful. He gives you immediate pressure at grade 3, provided you have 2 damage in your damage zone, which isn't hard to get by the grade 3 turn. And his threat to stand back up with critical, and because I play 16, he has a likelihood to stand with an additional critical, makes your opponent move and react more than what they likely would do in a normal situation like that. say for example, if I had Galaxy or had Mond on the Vanguard circle, it does what I want to do, and which is force my opponent's hand, which makes Galaxy more threatful in the later portions of the game. And then of course, for Galaxy is the main grade 3 to have, especially in the late game, because it makes everything a threat. Your opponent is not safe from any attack whatsoever, provided that they don't have a perfect guard in their hand. He's the reason why Tough Boy is so good behind, especially when you cross ride, because he hits for 21,000 power, which is forcing at least 20k shield out of your opponent's hand every turn during the late game, which builds up crazy advantage over the course of the late game, which makes it hard for your opponent to mount a defensive against you or mount an offensive against you after the fact. And it makes it easier for you to hit because they're having to drop so many cards into their hand, from their hand, to try and protect themselves against you. I love it. It's one of my favorite cards in the game. Probably is my favorite card in the game right now. I definitely, if you're not playing 4, then I would recommend you play 4, get 4, put them into the deck, and just watch your opponent scream as you generate so much pressure on them, especially after you mount so much over the course of the game. That's my version of the deck. It's not the version to go by, but it works for me. Some people play Mond. I choose not to play Mond because I like to have the pressure of Stern over the course of the game. That's just the way I like to play it. Makes my opponent react and submit to what I want to do versus the opposite of me trying to react and submit to what they want to do. And just that all-around pressure game is what I enjoy most about the deck, and then that's why I feel like it's been so successful for me. I love it. That's my build. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, give suggestions, what have you. Later, guys.